Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Google Plus Business Spotlight. I'm your host, Stepan Hovnanian. This week, I'm actually joined by Rebekah Radice. How are you, Rebekah?
I am terrific. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited about this. Rebekah and I are tremendous fans of our guest today, Sprout Social. And we have with us Britt Thompson from Sprout Social. You're the social media manager, right, well, you'll tell us a little bit about that. But hi, Britt.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me.
So excited to have you. I'm going to turn this over to Britt in just a second. If you're watching live on the event stream, I threw a comment in there with a couple little ideas to help us expand the reach of this show a little bit. One is a click to tweet. Feel free to click and tweet it. Tell people that you're watching this live. And or if you are the copy paste variety, we have some text in there that you can copy and paste that'll tell everybody that you're watching us live. I would really appreciate you helping get the word out about the show using the hashtag GPLUSSPOTLIGHT. And GPLUSSPOTLIGHT.com has a whole bunch of information as well as an email list that we're setting up to give our audience inside scoop on things that are coming up about the show and some special opportunities as they arise with our upcoming guests. So. Having said all that, without further ado, I definitely want to welcome Britt. I want to turn it over to you and tell us about Sprout Social and how you guys are using Google+.
Awesome. So Sprout Social is a social media management and engagement platform for businesses to help you guys manage your social and better connect with your customers. So I run all of our marketing here for Sprout Social, and Google Plus has kind of, within probably the last 9 months, really kind of taken off for us, and we've been getting a lot more engagement and seeing kind of the effects of that. So excited to be here.
That's awesome. So yeah, you guys are active everywhere, right? And is it just you that manages all of them, or do you have a team?
I have a team, so I work with another girl, Sarah. She does kind of more of our outbound and community efforts. So she gets a lot more involved in Google Plus communities or Twitter chats or Facebook groups. So I do more of the inbound and content planning for that for our channels. But yeah, we are on most Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, right. Pinterest a little bit, Instagram. But yeah,
that's great. That's great. Rebekah, I don't want to capitalize here. Well, again, we're both very big fans, so, I could just talk all day.
Absolutely. Well, and, we have both, Britt, I would say Stefan and I were early adopters to Sprout Social and have just been raving fans, as you know. I was telling him before we got on with you, I have probably used just about every tool out there. You name it, if it's a social media management tool, tracking analytics, I've used it. And I continue to come back to Sprout for just a multitude of reasons. But talk to us a little bit about, you guys are amazing at listening. This is something you don't see very often with brands or businesses. And you're doing just such a fantastic job being out there and getting yourself out there across multiple different channels, but then listening to what's being said, what's being talked about. Talk a little bit about your strategy and then translate that to people that are with smaller businesses. They're really looking for an easy way to track and hear what people are talking about and then easily engage. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about how Sprout can help them do that.
Yeah, sure. So I think our listening kind of comes from the fact that we're built for businesses to help them listen and engage, and that's really what we're kind of going for, and so we try to kind of practice what we preach. So between myself and Sarah and some of our other team members, we're constantly looking kind of online, searching, especially with Google+. We integrate with Google+ in Sprout, so we can see all kind of our comments on our posts, and then throughout the day we'll kind of check in to see if people are mentioning us or talking about us in different communities and trying to reach out there. So it's kind of a team effort to try to make sure that we're present and that we're doing the best we can to be there for our customers to answer any questions. So I think from a small business perspective, you can still kind of use those tools that are out there and just really be active and proactive about trying to find people who are talking about you or your industry and helping how you can.
Well, and the thing that we probably geek out on a little bit, at least I do, is the smart inbox and the way that, yeah, exactly. When you are managing multiple different social channels, it can feel totally overwhelming to try to keep track of, like you just said, what people are talking about on Google Plus or over on Facebook or Twitter. So you can not only monitor mentions, but keywords, hashtags, phrases. That, to me, for any size business is just invaluable. So it pulls it all together into one location. Maybe give us your top tip on how to use that tool to really monitor what people are talking about out there.
Sure. So brand keywords are probably one of my favorite features within Sprout. I use it. That's how we kind of find the majority of our mentions, I would think. And so my biggest tip would be to put in kind of misspellings of your name. For example, we get called Social Sprout a lot, and so we can kind of, jump in, and we know people are talking about us just because of the nature of the question or the comment, and we can jump in and help or answer any questions or thank them for talking about us or recommending us to someone else. Another thing I know Stefan uses this is putting in kind of guest blog post links. So if you did a guest blog post, you can easily track it and see who's sharing your post and engage that way.
Yeah, that's been really helpful, because I've had a couple of guest blog posts where, for those of us who use Triber, that's kind of neat because they have it set up so that your handle, your Twitter handle actually gets tied into the tweet when it's sent. But beyond that, people, like I did a guest post for Marketing Profs, and I mean, gosh, they have a tremendously active audience. So I was happy to have discovered that tip, that it would work even with shortened links, which is really, really cool, by the way. I mean, you guys know what's going on there. You know that, oh, this is a shortened link. Even if another social media tool, sent it out, shortened it with maybe their special shortener. Won't give any names. But you guys figured that out, which is great, because there were so many people that I was able to thank and build relationships with, because I was trying to build relationships with that world, the Marketing Profs audience. So the brand. I totally echo the idea with the brand keywords. That's clutch.
Yeah, I think it's really something that's a great feature in our tool and really kind of helps businesses watch and listen and see what people are talking about and taking advantage of that opportunity to engage.
You guys also have, there's another piece too that I'm just starting to get into, but even as a kind of a one-man shop here, that you have tasks, which is really, really cool. And like I said, I'm just starting to get into it, but tell us a little bit about how those work, and especially how, as we're looking at our total platform or total exposure across the different social channels that we can monitor, how things like tasks play into the collaboration part of things, especially maybe even give an example where you and Sarah are able to use, if you do use tasks, or able to collaborate with it.
Yeah, so we use tasks on our team all the time. Sarah is one of the people who is on my team, but within kind of our Sprout Social group, we have someone on our sales team, we have someone on our support team, so that we can easily kind of give each other kind of the down low on who the customer is and what they need help with, or if it's someone who's recommending Sprout to someone else, I can task it to our sales team and say, hey, this person looks like they're interested in checking out Sprout. Can you reach out and answer any questions or help them get set up with kind of a trial or whatever they need? And so it really helps kind of keep those lines of communication open, and with kind of the conversation history, our sales team or our support team can see everything that I've already said to that customer and know that they're not going to be repeating something or asking the same question, and just kind of make it a really seamless experience for anyone who's engaging with us. And so,
well, and I, not to jump in, but I wanted to stop you real quick and just mention, you just touched upon what I think is one of my favorite features, which is Sprout is so different in the sense that it really works as a social CRM. You just said you could see any communication, so it's really neat for me when somebody tweets me or I'm having a conversation and I think, wait a second, did we talk about this in the past? Did I share something with them in the past? So as not to repeat yourself, you can go back and see every conversation that you had with this particular individual, and oh my gosh, that helps me every single day.
Definitely.
So it's definitely
and
one
I
of my
think it can definitely highlight kind of who you're in 2 to 3 years back, what kind of you tweeted to us or asked questions, and anyone who kind of joins our team can see that history as well. So if they're looking at your customer profile, they can easily see, okay, this person has been with us for such a long time. We should really, make sure that they feel appreciated and know that we appreciate their support. So kind of trying to take advantage of those relationships and build them.
It's a huge help, and from just a business perspective, I'm thinking, it's a great way to identify those people that are actively engaged in sharing your content, in conversing with you. So really being able to take a deeper dive into who are those raving fans, who are those people that are actively out there talking about you, sharing your content, excited and engaged with you, because that's, as I mentioned at the beginning, you guys are terrific at listening, but you're also terrific at thanking. So coming back and just doing those little tiny things that mean so much, to say, thank you for all of your support, or thank you for always sharing our content, looks like. And I think that's the power behind having that as a social CRM, which is, it's pretty easy in a snapshot to see, oh wow, I had no idea, because I know I've certainly done this where I look at somebody and think, holy cow, I had no idea they were sharing, so much of my content. So it's a great way to really be able to identify those people.
Yeah, I mean, if I can piggyback on that, a couple of weeks ago I had like an opt-in that I sent out, and inside it I have a couple of click-to-tweet things that say, hey, tell me that you're downloading this, my checklist. And so now what do? I've intentionally created this monster for people to tweet me, and I'm like, okay, now what? But what I've actually been able to do as a result of this is, you see who's tweeting, who goes through and clicks the tweet and sends it, and it's already pre-written, which is great because I know I'm going to get the mention, and then I'll actually task those tweets to myself as a possible follow-up. So this way, if it happens in especially if the link goes out, and gets promoted or something, there's usually an influx. And the same would be like if you wrote a blog post and the blog post was going out. So, it gives me a chance to chunk all of those things together and maybe, space out a couple of thank yous, but also, be able to say, all right, these are people that, they're not just tweeting about me, they're tweeting about an opt-in. They're a potential lead for me, and they're somebody that, maybe I want to come back to and dig a little deeper. The task thing, I'm actually using it for that, and then from there, because again, you can see, like we said, you can see the not only history, you can also see the networks that their I guess their email addresses are connected to. So I could say, oh, they're a LinkedIn person, or oh, they're big on Pinterest or whatever, because you guys have a lot of those things lined up. So this way I can go check them out over there, and if it happens that we get into a great conversation, let's say on Twitter, I can actually see, where else can I not stalk these people, but where else can I start to build a relationship? And maybe we just connected on Twitter, but maybe they're like a huge powerhouse on Facebook, or or they're a huge powerhouse on Google Plus in a niche that I don't know about yet.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a great use case. Kind of looking at the full customer and potential lead, where else they're being involved.
I got a question for you. So you guys, and by the way, those of you who are watching, thank you. But but also, if you have questions, throw them here into the event comments. Definitely leave a comment. We're going to try and bring some more up into the. We have a couple great ones now. We're going to try and bring them up in a minute, and see if we can grill Britt. Hopefully, not too much. But I have a question for you guys. You tend, at least on Google Plus, you tend to share. You guys create phenomenal content, by the way, and sproutsocial.com/insights is your blog. Highly recommend everybody go check it out. It's phenomenal. A lot of great information there, not just coverage of updates and developments in social, but also things like community management and some of the other things that you would use Sprout Social for in the first place. Some great insights there. So go check it out. But beyond your own content, I mean, do you guys have? How do you guys find? How do you find other content around the web, whether it's on Google Plus or whether it's from Twitter, and then decide how you're going to create, content, especially for Google Plus, to share it? How you guys are going to go and do that? Talk a little bit about that, because that's a challenge I think a lot of people have. It's like, oh gosh, I have to share. I have this 80-20 rule everybody talks about, But how do I do it? How do I find this information?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So I am a big list maker, and especially on Twitter, I love Twitter lists. And so whenever I'm kind of, looking around and find people who are really knowledgeable about community management or marketing or SEO or whatever the topic is, I put them into different lists, and I'll kind of monitor what they're sharing and what they're talking about. So if any of them share great content, I'll put it into our queue and share that. I also use our Feedly integration a lot, so kind of bigger blogs or blogs that I know put out consistently great content, I'm always looking at their new posts from within Sprout and then kind of easily share it from there. And then on Google Plus especially, I use circles a lot to kind of organize either our customers or people who are knowledgeable in different areas and try to look at what they're sharing and either share their posts or schedule it for later and go from there. So, yeah.
So you have people organized in circles according to different types of expertise, or that's how you guys come into. Because I know everybody's always always has a question about how does so and so use Google Plus, and that's always what we try and answer here. Yeah. So you guys tend to use circles as opposed to just letting the home stream just come do its thing.
Yeah, I mean, I personally find the home screen a little bit overwhelming. I kind of feel like there's a lot going on, so I like kind of being able to break it down to circles and really focus on whatever topic I'm looking for, or if I know I really want to engage with a customer or somebody who's been talking with us a lot, then I want to look at just their posts rather than a ton of other stuff that's coming in. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's something that your whole team does? Or that's just you?
Primarily me, but Sarah will also kind of jump in and look through those as well. She's a lot more involved in specific communities, so she'll go into those communities and either share posts or try to find different posts to engage with there.
Well, that's cool. So you have role. That's probably a great idea, so you don't get tripped up over each other and duplicate your efforts, or at least so there's a consistency with the message, right? I mean, you're in charge of doing this section of Google Plus. You're in charge of this section of Google Plus.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of manage more of our incoming stuff. So anyone who's mentioning us, or if there's something that we want to share, I'll share that. But she does a lot more of the kind of outbound engagement and community building, and so that people can really see her face and kind of tie it back to an individual person rather than just our logo.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, so Sarah comes in by herself too?
Yeah, she'll kind of use her own personal profile to engage within those communities because she's very active on kind of Twitter and within Facebook groups and LinkedIn profile or groups as well. So people can kind of see that consistency across the board and know that she's on our marketing team.
I think that's incredibly smart. Talk a little bit about your strategy from a brand level. How are you using Google Plus different than you did with Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn?
I think since Google Plus is still relatively new to us within our marketing mix, it's a lot more based on kind of relationship building and community and sharing other people's posts. We do that on Twitter and Facebook as well, but I think it's a much stronger focus of ours on Google Plus than it is on kind of more of the established networks that we've been around on for a while. So Facebook will kind of use a little bit more for kind of team and culture posts, and then also posts about our industry, whereas Google Plus, we really want to kind of build better relationships with the people we've out there.
So it sounds like from a strategy point of view, part of your plan is for Sarah, yourself, to come in as the company, but also as somebody that's representing the company. So you said Sarah was not only going in and commenting as Sprout, but also as herself. Has that been a core part of your strategy throughout all of your social media endeavors, or is this kind of something new that you're playing around with in Google+?
I would say it's probably been around for a while. So we do it on Twitter as well. You can tweet Sprout Sarah, and she's kind of our Twitter chat person, and she's always involved in kind of talking with people on Twitter as herself. But Google Plus, I think it's kind of probably more of a focus than it is on some of the other networks.
Yeah, well, and I think it's such a fabulous strategy, and you don't see brands doing it very often. I think there's still a lot of fear in that, in maybe tying a specific person to the brand, but I see it as the other way around. You know, it's really a win-win. They're leveraging your community, and vice versa, obviously. And I've interacted with Sarah multiple times, and she does a terrific job.
Awesome.
So obviously it's finding the right people, but it sounds like Google Plus is really giving you the opportunity to spread your wings a little bit, to expand on something that's already been working for you, and get her more involved in communities and really that face-to-face, so to speak, one-on-one interaction that drives people back over to want to learn more about Sprout.
Absolutely, yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it is kind of that person-to-person kind of relationships and community building that is a lot more successful than just trying to put out kind of incredible content, or, I mean, content's amazing, but trying to always be the next Oreo or the next whatever brand that, is viral for the moment. I think building those one-on-one connections is a lot more scalable and sustainable.
I couldn't agree more with you.
20,000 followers now here on Google Plus.
Google Plus.
Check it out.
That's fantastic. Well, and I think that definitely speaks to the investment you're making into those relationships. We obviously all talk so much about in social media that people connect with people. It's that human connection, that getting to know that different side of you, a little bit more about you, that people connect with. They don't necessarily connect with just a logo or a brand. So I think it does definitely add that additional layer of authenticity, giving people a unique insight into who you guys are and how committed you are to that sustainability, as you talked about. So kudos to you guys, because you just don't see it very often.
Thank you. That's awesome to hear.
Speaking of relationships, Neil Furry dropped a great question about, which kind of ties into relationships and the networking side of relationships in the events just before we started. So I wanted to bring it up, and Britt, if you can comment on it, or maybe we could just all talk about it. We'll see what happens. All right, so. Let's talk a little bit about the analytics and the reports, I guess, that Sprout offers. Neil's comparing them to SumAll, which is another service, and I guess what they try and do, I'm not familiar with SumAll, but I've seen a couple of screenshots. I think what they do is try and analyze how active people are on different networks, and so we talked a little bit about the CRM side of things and understanding that, but is there anything more specific that will I guess, and Neil, let us know in the comments if we're misrepresenting you here. But is there anything more specific that helps people identify within Sprout the the importance of a potential relationship or connection?
I'm not totally familiar with some and what they do as well. Within Sprout, I know you can kind of look at their clout score or how engaged they are with their own following. We do have a Twitter comparison report, so you can kind of pull some stats on them, how influential or engaged they are with their audience. But I think we've kind of tried to really focus on who's engaging with your brand and making those tools as easy to use and available as possible, so you can kind of build on that relationship rather than just seeking out influencers. So
that's a great point.
Yeah.
Great point. Actually got another question from next week's guest, Susan Sarah. Hi, Susan. Thanks for joining us today. All right, now we're really putting you on the spot, Britt. We're going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Give us so for a completely time-strapped person, as Susan said, she's working on negative time here. How does Sprout Social compare to some of its competitors that may or may not be named?
I get this question a lot, so no problem. I would say we do have a lot of similarities to some of the other tools out there. I think we're kind of going for some similar goals, but we're much more focused on helping businesses engage with their audience and their customers and making it easier for your entire company, even if there's only a few of you, to engage with those customers and kind of wow them and make the most of your time on social. So all of our kind of tools and features and design are really kind of built to make it more efficient and effective for you to work with your customers and team. So hopefully that helps answer the question.
Yeah, no, I was just going to tag on that. As a business owner that used Sprout, and I used Hootsuite for years until I made the move over. And I think the biggest difference for me is in how you can manage the flow of information. Mm-hmm. Where Hootsuite, you were talking about just being overwhelmed, maybe by that home screen of Google+. I felt that way with Hootsuite, where I felt all over the place trying to manage my lists and all of that information, all of those different people I wanted to keep track of, where Sprout has it all in one location, or I can choose to kind of chunk it up. So you really get to manage how much you see, whether you're just seeing one account, multiple accounts all at once, whether you're just looking at those hashtags or maybe your mentions, your retweets, whatever that looks like. I just really like the flexibility to be able to shut some stuff off or let it all come at me. Where it's very simple then to quickly go through and respond to people, interact, engage. To me, it's a lot cleaner interface. So just that whole experience, and I think I might have said that to you yesterday about your new app, which is huge for me as well, with how much I'm on the go and travel. Just a user-friendly app is an enormous benefit, and you make it very simple to get in, whether it's on the desktop or on the app, to see who's talking about you, quickly respond, and then quickly grab some content too. You talked about that. I love the integration of Feedly, which used to be Google Reader before they went away and we all made that big transition. But it makes it so simple to retweet, grab people's content, monitor what's being talked about all in one location. Without that feeling of overwhelm, like I'm bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to kind of explain how we're set up, and that's definitely kind of what we're going for, is making it as easy and efficient for you to get what you need. So we kind of have tabs at the top, and I personally think of them as like different tasks that you need to do. So in the Messages tab, it's really where you're trying to engage and listen and get to build those relationships and talk to people. Whereas in feeds, you're kind of doing more of the content curation. You're finding content to share and different people who you don't necessarily need to be talking with right away, but maybe you want to find new people to reach out to, and then kind of analytics can be a separate tab, so you're solely focused on that task at hand rather than kind of having everything come at you at once.
That's a great point.
I think it sounds to me, at least this is also how I use it, but it sounds to me like the way you guys have structured your have structured the app, and I guess the workflow within the app, it's almost like I know what I want to accomplish. And that's the hardest part, by the way, for any small business or business owner who's active on social media. It's like, all right, in order for this to not be a time suck, how do I know what I want to accomplish? So, I mean, to the extent that you guys help with that, I mean, it's a huge help. So I know, like for me, I'm like, all right, I'm going to sit in the inbox all day, and anything that comes my way, I can deal with it. Whereas, and then maybe later on, maybe there's a time and day, kind of like you said, Britt. Yeah, maybe there's a point in time in the day where I do need new content. So I'll go to the feed section. I will go get said content from different people that I'm looking at, or from my RSS feeds or wherever. I could even draft them and save them in. If I want to go to Google Plus, which is a little bit more of a complex posting style. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll find something, whether it's from Feedly or whether it's from one of my Twitter feeds, and I'll actually save it. I'll either save it as a task, just as a link to follow up for myself, or I'll just go to reshare it as I'll go to reshare it to my Google Plus page, and then just save it as a draft. And then I know I can come back to it later on when it's time to do the creation part. And so it sounds like that's kind of how, if that's your flavor of vodka, then
Totally. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really about what works with your workflow and what you're looking for in an application, and kind of what goes best with what you need. So
definitely.
Hopefully.
So $1 million question here. Has the Echo, again, coming a little bit back to Google Plus, before we wrap things up for the day, are you seeing activity? Are you seeing results? I mean, you guys are spending the time. You're doing a phenomenal job. The listening and relationship building is a core focus here for you. Let's cut to the chase here. Has it turned into anything substantial, traffic-wise or lead-wise or anything like that?
I would say over probably the past year, we've definitely seen an increase in traffic from Google+. And then really, I think it's been a great way to kind of tap into a different customer base and different, target audience. So we've been able to meet new people or get to know customers who maybe weren't quite as vocal on Twitter or Facebook or any of the other networks, and really kind of make those relationships a lot stronger and get to know them a little bit better.
Great. So that kind of long-term relationship building play, as well as the traffic side of things, which obviously is a big part of it.
I mean, traffic is great, and that's kind of, the goal, but I think our primary goal right now is really to build upon that community and those relationships that are already there and strengthen them, and then maybe down the road kind of work more towards more traffic or conversions or whatever kind of our business goal is.
Fantastic. Rebekah, anything else you want to add before we wrap things up?
No, it's just exciting to hear how you guys have grown, what your long-term plan is. It's great to hear that Google Plus for you guys is a long-term strategy. You're not just hopping in and hoping it works and throwing some content up there. You're really committed to engaging in the community, to giving back to the community. And you share fantastic content, and as Stefan said, your blog is excellent, so we really want to make sure that people hop over there, check that out. I always gain something new from it every single time, and I feel as if no matter how often, I have a conversation with somebody about how they're using Sprout Social. Everybody's using it a little bit different. And everybody has a unique way that they're using it to monitor, to really build their business presence. So it's exciting because I know it seems like we probably have a lot of small to mid-sized businesses that are tuned in today, and I think it's an exciting opportunity for them to get rid of maybe juggling 5, 6 different tools and know that everything they need is right inside Sprout. One thing we didn't touch on, just real quick, is the Sprout queue, and I think this kind of speaks to Susan's point, which is how can I quickly get in and get some content scheduled, get some content ready to go out. Sprout Queue, tell us just real briefly a little bit about that and what the idea behind that is.
The kind of goal behind that is, or idea behind that is really just to make it as easy to schedule and share content throughout the day. We know a lot of smaller businesses aren't on social all day long every day, and so we want to make it easy for them to still be active and still be sharing great content, but don't actually have to be there right at the moment. And then kind of within the messages tab, or I use our iPhone app all the time to kind of still monitor, maybe we're sharing a ton of content, but we're still always there to kind of reply and see those mentions and still be really engaged and present. And so I think that's kind of a good kind of workflow, and as a small business you want to be active with your community and your audience, and so I think Q helps with that.
Yeah, the queue is great. I use it real quick. The nickel tour of it is you can preset, I think, up to like 10 different times of when you want to basically preset 10 different times. Okay, so, and if however many networks you're using, you're connected to profiles, you're connected to with Sprout, you can push, you can push 10 different, you just keep pushing things into the queue, and they'll go out at those times. So you don't have to go through the actual ordeal of scheduling something day, hour, minute. You can just say, okay, push this out, there you go, and it shows up. I mean, it's great. So like if you have, it's kind of, I guess in some respect, it's kind of like a buffer. It's kind of like, but it isn't, it's the scheduling and it's the automation, but without the labor of actually picking a time. So that, it's really helpful for me, and you can change what levels and intervals you have. And so sometimes for me, I know like I'll use it in the content production side. So I'll push my stuff out through the queue so that I know it's coming out in a nice even stream. But I will spend, and then this way that lets me go spend time monitoring and listening and talking to people. So I'm still active, but I don't have to go, kind of like Britt said, I don't have to go right in there and say, oh gosh, it's 1 o'clock. I wanted to do something today. Let me go find and set up that whole thing. So it's just, hey, I got a great thing. Let me just throw it in the queue. Retweets and stuff like that work too, which is great, because this way you go in there, you don't flood. Like you can spend 15 minutes on social media, and using the queue, it could make it look like you were there all day.
And that's kind of something I see with a lot of small businesses is I think they're just logging on for their 30 minutes a day, and they find a ton of stuff to share, and they share it all at once, and it kind of floods the feed and looks a little funny. But with Q, you can really kind of spread it out and not be overwhelming, but still kind of share all that content that you want to share. Yeah. So I use it
Plus too.
Also. Yeah, definitely.
So, all right. Well, thank you again, Britt, so much for coming, and Rebekah for helping us out. I mean, this was like, for me, I was super excited about this. This was really cool to have you able to hang out with me today, as we brought on one of our favorite brands. Like seriously, can't really go wrong with this.
Two of your biggest fans right here.
I know, I love it. You guys are awesome. So I'm glad.
Well, I hope we can do it again too, because I would love to hear. I'm sure we could do some follow-up stuff on. As you guys do more. You told us about you're doing some relationship building. It would be great maybe to talk another time about how that's working out, or maybe some specific examples. So if you have any you ever want to share with us, you're always welcome back on the show, and I'm sure Rebekah will jump at it too.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, everybody, thank you again so much for watching this week's episode of Google Plus Business Spotlight with Sprout Social. And just again, GPLUSSPOTLIGHT.com has all the information you would want to know about the show. Would encourage you to help us spread the word. Get on the email list because we have some other information we want to share about upcoming events and upcoming guests. And speaking of which, next week we are going to have, I think, a world-renowned kitchen designer, Susan Sarah, who was in our audience, live audience today. And really excited about to tell you about what Susan's doing with Google Plus, because she's not in the tech world, she's not in the social media world, but she's doing a fantastic job, and she's got some great stories to share with us. So hope to see you guys next week, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them here in a comment, and we listen, so we'll get back to you.
Definitely.
All right, everybody, take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.